Another day, another story. Avian influenza, also known as avian flu or bird flu, is a disease caused by the influenza A virus, which can infect both birds and people. It is similar to other types of animal flu in that it is caused by a virus strain that has adapted to a specific host. The type with the greatest risk is highly pathogenic avian influenza, HPAI. Welcome to Tabo Eminent Channel. Though influenza A is adapted to birds, it can also stably adapt and sustain person-to-person transmission. Recent influenza research into the genes of the Spanish flu virus shows it to have genes adapted from both human and avian strains. Pigs can also be infected with human, avian, and swine influenza viruses, allowing for mixtures of genes, reassortment, to create a new virus, which can cause an antigenic shift to a new influenza A virus subtype which most people have little to no immune protection against. Avian influenza strains are divided into two types based on their pathogenicity: high pathogenicity, HP, or low pathogenicity, LP. The most well-known HPAI strain, H5N1, was first isolated from a farmed goose in Guangdong Province, China in 1996, and also has low pathogenic strains found in North America. Companion birds in captivity are unlikely to contract the virus, and there has been no report of a companion bird with avian influenza since 2003. Pigeons can contract avian strains, but rarely become ill and are incapable of transmitting the virus efficiently to humans or other animals. History. The type of influenza known informally as avian or bird flu is caused by viruses adapted to birds. The most widely quoted date for the beginning of recorded history of avian influenza, initially known as fowl plague, was in 1878 when it was differentiated from other diseases that caused high mortality rates in birds. Fowl plague or avian flu also included Newcastle disease until as recently as the 1950s. Between 1959 and 1995, there were 15 recorded occasions of the emergence of HPAI viruses in poultry, but losses were minimal. Between 1996 and 2008, HPAI outbreaks in poultry have occurred at least 11 times, and 4 of these outbreaks have involved millions of birds. In the 1990s, the world's poultry population grew 76% in developing countries and 23% in developed countries, contributing to the increased prevalence of avian influenza. Before the 1990s, HPAI caused high mortality in poultry, but infections were sporadic and contained. Outbreaks have become more common due to the high density and frequent movement of flocks from intensive poultry production. United States 2014-15 outbreak. From 2014 through 2015, United States poultry and egg producers experienced the largest outbreak of H5N2 in recorded history, with approximately 51 million birds depopulated to control the spread of the disease. From May to June 2015, 25 million birds were culled, equating to 409,836 birds per day, or 284 birds per minute. In total, the 2014-2015 H5N2, H5N8 outbreak cost $879 million in public expenditures and the United States egg and poultry industry more than $3 billion to eradicate the disease from poultry production. This was the most costly United States HPAI outbreak to date. Africa 2023 outbreak. In March 2023, Senegal reported an outbreak of the disease on a poultry farm in the village of Pato near the northwestern town of Louga. The disease has killed 500 birds at the farm in Pato, while 1,229 bird deaths have been recorded at the Langue de Barbarie Park and surrounding areas. 26. A week later, in Gambia, authorities detected H5N1 bird flu on a wild bird reserve. During September and October 2023, South Africa reported one of its worst outbreaks of bird flu. Millions of chickens were killed over the first few weeks, and supplies of poultry meat were threatened, and supermarkets across the country were short of eggs. Genetics. Avian influenza A viruses prefer to bind to alpha-2, 3 sialic acid receptors, while human influenza A viruses prefer to bind to alpha-2, 6 sialic acid receptors. The presence of both alpha-2, 3 and alpha-2, 6 sialic acid receptors in pig tissues allows for co-infection by avian influenza and human influenza viruses. This susceptibility makes pigs a potential melting pot for the reassortment of Influenza A viruses. Hemagglutinin is the major antigen of the virus against which neutralizing antibodies are produced, and influenza virus epidemics are associated with changes in its antigenic structure. The evolution of avian influenza virus has been influenced by genetic variation in the virus population due to genome segment reassortment and mutation. Also, homologous recombination occurs in viral genes, suggesting that genetic variation generated by homologous recombination has also played a role in driving the evolution of the virus and potentially has affected virulence and host range. Subtypes. Out of the 3 types of influenza viruses, A, B, and C, Influenza A virus can cause zoonotic infections, with a natural reservoir almost entirely in birds. There are many subtypes of avian influenza viruses, but only some strains of 5 subtypes have been known to infect humans: H5N1, H7N3, H7N7, H7N9, and H9N2. At least one person, an elderly woman in Jiangxi Province, China, died of pneumonia in December 2013 from the hydrogen nitride strain. She was the first human fatality confirmed to be caused by that strain. Most human cases of the avian flu are a result of either handling dead infected birds or from contact with infected fluids. It can also be spread through contaminated surfaces and droppings. While most wild birds have only a mild form of the H5N1 strain, once domesticated birds such as chickens or turkeys are infected, H5N1 can potentially become much more deadly because the birds are often in close contact. H5N1 is a large threat in Asia with infected poultry due to low hygiene conditions and close quarters. Although it is easy for humans to contract the infection from birds, human-to-human transmission is more difficult without prolonged contact. Public health officials believe strains of avian flu may mutate to become easily transmissible between humans. Transmission. Birds that have been put down because of avian influenza. The virus is spread by contact between healthy and unhealthy birds. Avian influenza is most often spread by contact between infected and healthy birds, though can also be spread indirectly through contaminated equipment. The virus is found in secretions from the nostrils, mouth, and eyes of infected birds as well as their droppings. HPAI infection is spread to people often through direct contact with infected poultry, such as during slaughter or plucking. Though the virus can spread through airborne secretions, the disease itself is not an airborne disease. Highly pathogenic strains spread quickly among flocks and can destroy a flock within 28 hours. The less pathogenic strains may affect egg production but are much less deadly. Citation needed. Global impact. In 2005, the formation of the International Partnership on Avian and Pandemic Influenza was announced in order to elevate the importance of avian flu, coordinate efforts, and improve disease reporting and surveillance in order to better respond to future pandemics. New networks of laboratories have emerged to detect and respond to avian flu, such as the Crisis Management Center for Animal Health, the Global Avian Influenza Network for Surveillance, OFFLU, and the Global Early Warning System for Major Animal Diseases. After the 2003 outbreak, WHO member states have also recognized the need for more transparent and equitable sharing of vaccines and other benefits from these networks. Cooperative measures created in response to HPAI have served as a basis for programs related to other emerging and re-emerging infectious diseases. Thanks for watching. Request you to subscribe the channel.